What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's video. It's been a couple of weeks. We have just been swamped with life as usual. This week we're gonna be working on old date night. We've got a problem. It's a problem that it's had since I drove it for the first time a few months ago, and it is in the transmission. So I have had multiple 727 transmissions in power wagons and D150s and trail dusters and coronet and dusters and all kinds of cars and Mopar products. I've had even Termite in its original transmission was a TorqueFlite 727. And I've never had a problem with any of them. None of them have ever given me issue except this one. And what it's doing, I would show you on camera, but it wouldn't translate on film. There's no way I could show you and you would tell what it's doing. But I've never had this problem, but what I understand it's called is overlap between second and third gear. Some people call it binding, but from what I can understand, it's when the clutches of third gear begin to kick in before the clutches in second gear have fully released, and it makes it do this weird thing where it will feel like it shifts coming out of second, like you'll feel the third gear shift. It doesn't rev up, it doesn't do anything, and then all of a sudden, depending on where I am on the gas, normal driving conditions, a second or so later, it will just like shudder and jar, like boom, like it's finally shifted. It's not slipping, it's not a slip because the RPMs don't go up, nothing like that happens. It's just like, it almost makes it feel like it's shifting into fourth and jamming into fourth, but there is no fourth gear. So it's a weird thing that it's doing, and I've researched it to try to figure out, and from what I can tell, that's what it's called. It's 2-3 overlap. So the fix for that is a shift kit. So I have ordered, we've got a Transgo transmission reprogramming kit, and this is the TF1. So there's our part number there. This is for the TorqueFlite 727. They have the TF1, the TF2, TF3, whatever, on up. The TF1 is like your street car type style. TF2 is obviously a little more street strip type stuff, and then you move on up from there. But what we're doing, we're not, obviously not drag racing this thing or doing anything like that with it. So we're gonna throw this shift kit in, but it says in the description of the shift kit, but it says it cures 2-3 overlap. And a lot of people on forums and websites and stuff that I've read say that fixes it as well. I know there's a lot of other things that you can do in this, but I am not a transmission guy. I do not understand transmissions and how they work. And so, you know, people can try to explain it to me. You know, it doesn't always translate to me very well. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing this week. We're going to be putting a shift kit in old date night here. We've got all of our fluids over there in bags, which that stuff is like liquid gold now. But hopefully that is going to fix our issue. Now, I know you also may say, Wesley, did you do any adjustments? That sounds like a kickdown linkage. And I've done all of that. I've done all the adjustments. Everything is within spec. It was, some things were a little off, but nothing changed. I adjusted the kickdown. I even adjusted the bands. The 2-3 band that you can do on the outside of the case didn't change anything. Helped, I will say maybe helped a little bit, but it still didn't fix the problem. I can shift it manually second to third, and it's beautiful. There's no slip. There's no nothing like that. It's only in that area. So we're gonna get old date night up in the air and drain the fluid, drop the pan, and pull that valve body out and get started on this thing. Okay, we are in the air, and you can tell we got some leakage going on. That is apparently motor oil. Smells like motor oil, looks like motor oil. Obviously from the rear main, as you can see there. But don't fret, when I ordered the shift kit, we have a rear main too, and an oil pan gasket. So that's coming up after, not probably in this video, But I had a couple of weeks ago, I had a lifter start ticking in the truck. I was coming back from town, I pulled into the house, and it was just tapping like crazy. So had a bunch of people tell me pour transmission fluid, about a half a quart of transmission fluid in the motor, which I've heard of that, just never done it before. And but I did, and it worked. But the next time I crunk it up, it still ticked. But then the next time it quit. And it came back one time a couple of weeks ago, but it has cured that little deal. But my plan was this whole time that next oil change, I'm gonna put a rear main in it because it's leaking pretty good. So I don't want to run that transmission fluid in there for very long because I know it's going to clean a lot. And so once I get this shift kit in and the transmission can check that box and say, okay, the transmission's good, then I'm going to drain the oil out of it. We'll put a rear main in it, put some fresh oil in it, and hopefully be good to go. So right now, all we have to start with is obviously getting our pan bolts off, getting our, which you can't see it because I don't have a light. Well, yeah, you can a little bit. Getting all of our shift linkages, our kick down, get all that stuff undone. And we need to address this bushing right here that they have zip tied in. We need to get a new bushing. But get the pan down. Obviously, that means I got to drain the fluid, so I'm going to get over here and do that. And the main thing of what you're doing is in the valve body. So we're going to get the valve body out and start doing everything that it tells us to do there. All right. Shift linkage and the arms are unhooked. So as a kick down, they're right here on the magnet. And now it is just time to go around undoing the bolts. Don't go crazy with these things and just start undoing them, you know, wild, because there is no drain hole on these pans. You can put one in it, which I probably should do. But don't want to just drop the pan all at one time. What I usually do is I'm gonna try to come out the back of the pan, back here. So I want to break all these loose, and then I'll take these all the way out and pry it and let my fluid kind of drain. Get as much as you can. I mean, it's almost inevitable that you're gonna make a mess, but it'd be nice if I had one of the big drain pans, but I don't. So make do with what you got, right? We're just gonna take our time and go slow and filter and everything there. So all we've got to do is this all come off later, but there are just a handful of bolts that are actually holding all of this up. So we just got to take all them out, and valve body will come down, and that's what we'll separate and go in there and do all of our little modifications and stuff. But we've got some fuzz on the magnet, which, like I say, that's pretty normal, I guess. Good bit on it, but and as you can probably expect, all of our parts are disgusting. So, hey y'all, I got my table set up and got me some brown paper on top. Before we get any further and get all nasty, figured I'd open this up and see what all we're working with here. So as you can see, TF1, you'll just love it, says Mr. Schiff. So that's what we're looking at here. And from what I hear, they got really, really good instructions. So there's all that. We've obviously got pan gasket, different springs and whatnot. Gasket, springs, different manual valve, little tool to put the ball in. So yeah, all right, there it is. That's what you get in the kit. I think this kit was right at 80 bucks from Summit, so yeah. All right, now I'm gonna get that out. All right, guys, we're just general disassembly at this point. We've got our 3 screws out that took the filter out right in here. So now we're just gonna undo all these little Phillip head screws, and that will separate, and all these on the side too. It's just straight disassembly of getting these 2 halves apart. And this is kind of where, this is what we're looking at. It's showing here that lockup was an option. I don't know if this one has a lockup or not though. I don't know. That's what it was acting like, but I don't know. So we're just gonna get this disassembled and kind of start going from there. All right, guys, we've got our bottom section, top section. Sorry I'm not filming a lot of this. I'm having to take a lot of pictures with my phone because I don't want to. I did a shift kit years and years ago, and I had a check ball fall out of it. Couldn't remember where it went. This is back before cell phones and camera and Google and all that kind of stuff. And needless to say, the transmission wouldn't hold pressure, and it was a whole big deal. So anyway, I'm trying to take my time and document. So it's hard to film and take pictures every 2 seconds, plus my hands are covered with transmission fluid, so just bear with me. But I got here to step number 1. If the trans has a lockup converter. Well, I don't know. You can look at your input shaft and tell, but my trans is in the truck and I'm not pulling it out. So I had to dig and dig and dig as to how to find this out. Well, this is a lockup module. It goes right here into that hole and sits right here on top of the valve body. So if your valve body, and this is only, I think, for 78s and up. It says here 77 up, so I don't know, but I know late 70s, 77, we'll say 78, 79 up. If it has this little dude on top, apparently that is a lockup. That is a lockup module there. So if you have this, you have a lockup transmission. So I guess we have a lockup transmission. So maybe that is what we're feeling. I don't know. At this point, we're here. We're going to put the shift kit in and see what happens. But, and I don't know if a lockup in is good or bad. I don't really know. I know the truck cruises really good on the highway. So, I don't know. Anyway, so because of that, we've got to drill, which I don't have a 7-passage. I have a 6-passage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll have to come into here and drill 2 holes, as they show there, straight out the top, all the way through. So they do furnish drill bits. There's those 2, or there's they are. They're all 3 of them. So they give you all the drill bit sizes you need. So that's cool. I don't have to go to town to do that. So all right, I got to run and grab my drill, and we've got our plate installed. Focus. We've got our drill plate installed. We're going to take this dude, drill that out. There's also a spacer right here in this bag that will go on the drill bit so we don't drill too deep. So yeah, I'm gonna get my drill. We'll get all of our holes drilled out, and we'll go from there. Sorry about the haze on the camera. It's obvious what we're doing here, so I'll try to clean it up before the next shot. All right, we've got our template plate on. We've got our 3/16 bit. We got our spacer on, which is just a spring, but it's measured back to 7/16. So just go there. Voila. This is Andrew's little tape measure. She'll be ticked when she sees I'm using it out here. So yeah, let's go. Done. I had to go hook the compressor up before this is all said and done, but clean this stuff all out good. But it's a good hole. Looks good. All right, so I'm going to show you guys here. So we just drilled that little passageway out, and you see my two holes up here. See the light going through them? They're right there. They are right there. So we got those two drilled too. So, and it looks just like it does right there in the picture. So it should work, right? We shall see. Okay, so we've got our new manual valve. We had to file a notch here. This is all in your instructions. Got that filed, and we've got our ball and spring being held in by, guess the name of it, mumbly peg that holds that in. So what we're doing is making sure that the manual valve is, when in park, that it is shut all the way. So to do that, you set that in, line that up with your ball, the tent there, and whack it down onto it. All right, guys, we're doing our rear piston, and it's got a C-clip. Mine has the C-clip here. We got to get this apart to put a spacer in here, and it is super tight, so I just put it in the vise like this and squeezed it, and that relieved the pressure off the C-clip where I could get it loose. So now I'll just back off the vise, and I'll be able to slide this apart and put my spacer in. All right, so C-clip's off here and here. We've got a spacer right here that's gonna go on top of here, or better yet, slide on the shaft. We'll squeeze it all back together, and it's got a new C-clip in there, and this is my new replacement of that spring. Walked in the shop this morning and found this, my clock that was up there. I don't know how it fell off, but you can see it, close call. It didn't hit the Super Bee. I very fearfully looked, and I've looked it over. I hadn't seen a impact spot yet, but that's a close one there. It was actually laying more right in here. I kicked it over so I could walk through there, but very close call. Don't know how that fell off, but it did. That's why I said this car's too nice. It's almost too nice for me to own. I stress about it too much. Got the valve body is all back together, and we put, let's see, I couldn't find this seal. I'm sure you could have found one somewhere, but it's still real soft and done. So I just cleaned it and reused that seal, but I did put a new seal where the main shaft comes up through here. know if it'll focus, but I did replace that seal. It goes in from the top, and this is it here. And it is, you can tell that's the outside, but it is dried out, and those are really prone to leaking. And so I did tap that in, and there's your part number there from O'Reilly's for that little seal. But super easy. I punched it out from the bottom with a flathead. Just from underneath where I just showed you, knocked it out, tapped it in from the top. Not a big deal. So now everything's together, ready to go. Andrew also helped me. We got all this back in. This band's adjusted. I still have to adjust the front band to their specs, which is a little bit different than what the factory calls for. So I got to do that. And we got to get this arm, the shift arm, clicked back in. And so I'm waiting on Andrew to come out now, because I got to slide that through. I may end up having to pull the shifter comb back off, just so I could get that it goes through this hole here, and the clip's gonna go under here, so it may be pretty fun to put back on. But either way, I gotta do that, get the valve body. We got the new filter on the bottom, so it is ready to go back in. It's not been a hard job, it's just I just have not had time. We've had so much going on and just haven't had time to fool with it. So I'm gonna try to at least today get the valve body bolted back in. And then I still gotta clean the pan and I need to go get some RTV so I can do the gasket, get that bolted back up. So I'll check back with you guys in a minute. All right, the valve body is back in, and now I'm gonna adjust the front band. So you got a 3/4 lock nut on there. Phone will not focus, but anyway. You break that lock nut loose, and let me see if I can get some better light going on in here. That may help a little bit. And then, let's see. How's that? So you break this lock nut loose, and then you got a 5/16 stud coming out of that I marked with white paint on the bottom. So you snug that in, tighten the little nut, there it is. Tighten that little stud all the way in, finger tight, and then put a 5/16 wrench, just kind of snug it pretty good. This lock nut is still loose. Now I'm gonna put my wrench on here and back this out. 2 turns is what they call for. Factory spec, I think it's 2.5, right in there, but they want 2 turns out. So I can't do that and hold the phone at the same time. But so I'm gonna back that nut back out 2 turns, tighten the lock nut, and the front band will be adjusted. And we're gonna get the pan cleaned up and get it put back on. All right, guys, well, everything is cleaned up, pan's back on. I'm just going through with my little torque driver and just not tightening them at all, just getting them to touch, because we've got a cork gasket's what comes in the kit, and that's fine. Put a little smear of RTV. You can see it, just not a lot. Do not go crazy with RTV. Don't give it initial tight. Don't tighten anything down till you get all your bolts in. These are just basic stuff for the old school things. I'm gonna put my socket and ratchet to get those. So what you wanna do is, like they'll tell you on the thing, it's just some ultra black that I'm using. Just get it where it kind of gives a little bit of pressure, and then snug them all up evenly. Let it set 20-30 minutes and let that RTV kind of set up. We've probably talked about this on another video, I'm sure. And then come back and torque them down. So, but I just start with this, because with a cork gasket, you do not want to go too tight, because it will pinch it and push it out the side. So anyway, everything's clean, and yeah, we're just gonna torque the pan back down and set the truck down. And I don't know if I'll put fluid in it today, because I want to give that gasket time to dry. So probably tomorrow morning we'll start dumping fluid in it and see what it does. Glad to see this thing back on the ground. All right, well, she is topped off with fluid. What I did to begin with, just dumped a gallon of transmission fluid in there, 4 quarts, just went ahead and poured that in because I knew I was that low. Put it in neutral, crunk it up, let it get up to temp because that's the way you do the 727s, in neutral at, you know, running temp. And then I just kept checking it, and it ended up taking, let's see, I don't even see it on the thing, maybe, well, I can't see it on the thing to tell you how much is done in there, but I would say it ended up taking about 4, 5, 6, about 6.5 to 7 quarts. And it topped off fine. I put it through all the gears. It moved front to back. So test drive time. So I had a problem when I would put it in reverse. It would always want to just die, like just kind of just stumble until I gave it some gas and got it picked back up and it would go. Didn't do that in any other gear. But just now doing it, when I put it in reverse, it didn't even hesitate. It just clicked down in and sit there. So I'm thinking some of my problem might have just been how dirty the filter and that little filter was inside. Could have been some of my problem, but anyway. So, all right, Andrew's gonna jump in with me and we're gonna take this thing down the road and see if it shifts out like it should. I'm not a transmission person, guys, so I have no idea how this is gonna go. Whew, I am nervous. Second's good. That was a super smooth shift.
It was.
Butter. But the second to third, that was always my problem. Second. That was good.
It felt like it was shifting. I mean,
it never has shifted that good without me feathering the throttle. I didn't feather the throttle or nothing. I just stayed in it.
Does it go again?
No, it's only 3.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
That's not many to mess up.
No. You let off when you would work the throttle, it would help with that weird overlapping thing it did, but I didn't do any feathering just now. I just stayed normal in it. Second. That's beautiful. It holds second longer too now, and I didn't do any adjustments as far as my kick down. That was all I'd done before, but it held second. It holds second longer now than it used to. That's sweet, man. I did something to a transmission that worked. I think it's good. I probably shouldn't say that.
Don't say that.
Because this time last year, we were in the thralls of the MDS issue on termite. If y'all remember that whole fiasco. But
I will never forget that.
Well, I'm gonna drive it for a week or so. Once we know for sure transmission is all sorted. It didn't feel, I mean, there's no real, I've already done all the adjustments beforehand. That all felt really good. So from here, I'm gonna drive it a week or so, and then I'll be probably tackling the rear main. Get the rear main seal replaced, which we have. I have that over there. So get the oil leaks sort of slow down on this, and I guess air conditioner after that. We live in South Mississippi, man. You kind of got to have some AC down here. But this is date night. So for date night to go on a date.
For me to go anywhere.
Got to have the AC.
Gotta have some AC.
Termite has been super nice with AC so far. But anyway, guys, I guess that's going to be it. I think I covered. I know this was not a step-by-step how-to. There's plenty of videos out there that have that. If it was something that maybe I didn't cover that you got a question, feel free to comment and ask. I'll gladly answer it to the best of my knowledge. But the shift kit worked. So we'll put the part numbers in the description to the shift kit, the seal, which, by the way, I found that other little O-ring seal. You can get those on eBay. But anyway, we're good to go. So thank y'all for watching. See you next week.